Okay, so I've got a video planned to film tomorrow on the VFC M249. Now I did a full review on the M249 from VFC, and the file didn't go well, to be honest. I filmed it on a GoPro to see how that was going to go, and it just didn't work. So unfortunately, you haven't seen that. But I've got a couple of updates to that system. So I'm going to redo a video tomorrow on the VFC M249, which should be uploaded over the next few days, with those upgrades and fitting them, etc., etc. But in the meantime, I wanted to visit something that's often forgotten about. And this is my WE G36C, or G39 as they used to call it, to avoid licensing issues. Now, it's definitely an older one, and in fact I have a G36K here as well. I'll go over that one as well in part in this video. But primarily I wanted to talk about this because it's a forgotten gem from WE. There's a lot of hate for WE gas blowbacks on YouTube and in airsoft in general. Some of it is a little bit justified, a lot of it is not. If you watch my video on the WE M14, for instance, I mentioned a massive design flaw in that. But this is one that is really forgotten about these days. For a while, when they first came out, around 2010, they were extremely popular, certainly on the sites that I was going to at the time and around the people I was with. There were loads of these around, and this one is actually a day one release, G36C. So to explain how I came across this, I was working for a site operator at the time. We had these come in on the day of release, on the Saturday. I bought one on the Saturday night. Following day, Sunday, cold winter morning, we were playing at a site, and it was -10 in the morning. And AEGs, which are, of course, the go-to gun when it's cold, the lipos for those AEGs were just discharging instantly, and my main AEG was that cold that the piston was fragile and just exploded. And me being me, I normally take a bunch of guns with me, but for some reason that day I didn't. And the only other rifle I had with me for that day was my brand new WE G36C. There's a photo of me somewhere which I'm not going to dig out and put into the video, but I used it that day expecting it to not work, and amazingly it actually did. And that is why when people say I want a cold weather gas blowback rifle, I have two go-tos that I always recommend. One is the GHKG5, which I no longer have an example of here, unfortunately. But they're exceptional in the cold. But before that, many years before that, in fact, was the WE G36C. So, what do we got on this one? This one hasn't been used for airsoft for a little while, but it does get used a lot for filming and training and stuff, because it was the go-to rifle carbine of a lot of, or all of the British police forces for a while, which was bought by the government and thrust upon them as a way of upgrading them from 9mm that they had in the MP5s to a 5.56 caliber carbine, because of the new counter-terror laws that have come into place and the requirement to deal with people with body armour. So this one in particular, as I said, is a very early one. That's a real magazine with dummy rounds in it from filming, but it clips to the gas magazine. As you can see, there's the gas magazine, and mine, most of them have this paper insert that makes it look like there's rounds in there, which is just for looks really, but it looks pretty cool, and it looks closer to the real one. As you can see, it's a little bit brighter. I need to dull them down, but never bothered. So this is completely stock internally. I think, yep, there is. I did fit an R8 end pass to manage the power, because a lot of the CQB sites I was playing at the time were limited to maximum of 1 joule, and these G36s can go over that quite easily, especially in the warmer weather. They're very simple. As I said, they're very good in cold weather. There's a very nice high density polymer. If anyone's had a Tokyo Marui G36 AG or JG or whatever clone of it, you'll know that the plastics are normally really shitty plastics. And WE did this really nice, dense, like fibre reinforced polymer. So, as I said, the only thing that's been changed internally on this is that end pass to manage the power. Everything else is stock, including the barrel and hop. I haven't changed the hop up setting from, probably at least 12 years ago. It generally gets run on 0.28s, and it's never been moved. It's been absolutely fantastic. It performs absolutely great. Sure, it's not as refined as some of the newer gas blowbacks from the likes of VFC or GHK when they make them right, but it is a fantastic first gas blowback rifle, and for anyone that likes the G36 platform, it makes a fantastic gas blow at G36. Now the new VFC ones are apparently very, very good indeed. I've not had a chance to play one yet, but the original ones just didn't perform as well as the WE, amazingly. But apparently the new ones do rectify that. So if we continue to field strip this, we'll just take the recoil spring out and the bolt carrier. So the bolt carrier is not steel, it's an alloy, as you'd expect. It's actually quite weighty. It gives a decent amount of recoil. It's really gas efficient, surprisingly so. Inside the polymer body, we've got these alloy frames, again, they're not steel, with a metal but not steel hop unit, VSR style hop rubber and barrel. The polymer itself is actually pretty dense, so you can squeeze it together when there's no parts in it, but when it's all assembled it's really good. They don't come with this marking plate in there, they come with a foil sticker that doesn't have the HK markings, and you used to be able to buy these plastic laser engraved plates that you insert into the space. So that's what I've done to make mine a little bit more realistic. You can use real rails and things like that on there. My K did have a dual optic on it, real dual optic, but I recently sold it. This one has got an IDZ style rail kit on the top. It just gives you a little bit more room. It's a nicer flat top, and it's got these little built-in flip-up irons. That's a real Airtech on there, but it's not really a part of the system, but there we go. The trigger mechanism housing is your typical WE style, ambidextrous though. Very solid, certainly very solid. There's a steel roller bearing and a steel disconnector, steel bolt catch, but the hammer itself is alloy. The firing valve knocker is alloy. Steel screws sticking in the front there. Alloy selectors, they're reasonably positive, they're actually pretty good, although a little slacker than I would probably like. Recoil assembly, rather sturdy recoil spring, pretty stiff. The spring itself is actually steel, of course, and I think the rod is too. Yep, recoil guide rod is steel. It's all in one assembly with a buffer on the end, which is a rubber buffer. It's not perished on mine. It's been absolutely fantastic. As I said, this hasn't really been looked after, and yet it still trucks on with no issues. I've never had a single problem with this rifle. To reassemble, you just take the bolt carrier and you drop it in. Take your recoil assembly, pop it in the back, lining up the hole in the back of the bolt carrier. Then there's a small stud on the top. You just slot that stud in, and then close the stock is the easiest way to do it, I find. Take your trigger pack, just drop it straight in. Then you can put your rear pins. Heckler & Koch did design these holes in here so that you can hold the pins captively when you're field stripping, so you don't lose them in the grass or whatever. Pop that in. I usually put my bolts in on all HK rifles going from left to right, and the reason being is if your body presses against the side of the receiver, you're only pushing the pin in further, you're not pushing it out. If you're left-handed, obviously reverse that. And that goes with G3s, HK53s, MP5s, everything. I always do it from that side. Likewise, put on that magazine housing, put the pin in. You got your fake gas tube here and gas piston, which has been replicated for no reason other than to make it look realistic. I appreciate that. There's a little bit of wobble on the gas block, but it doesn't affect the gun in any way. The barrel itself is really solidly in there. You got your alloy G36 flash hider, handguards. You can take real handguards. You can also use AEG handguards on this. So pop that in and pop the last pin in place. And it's a little bit stiff still, which is amazing. This rifle is what, 14 years old and still going strong. So your controls, here's your charging handle, can be flipped out to left or right, and that's used for racking the bolt, obviously. It can also be, if you flip it out and then press it in towards itself, I'm trying to do this, you can see, you press it in towards itself, like that, it can be locked in place, and this enables you to use it as a forward assist, and then you can release it. Your magazine release is a simple flappy paddle release. You can either press with the trigger finger, although it is quite stiff, or more commonly just to use the thumb and press it as you pull the magazine out. Ambidextrous selector, as I said, and it really is as simple as that. So if we take a look at this, the magazine itself has no dry fire mode, so if you want to dry fire it, you do have to hold down the bolt catch. There's a hold open a bolt release catch in the trigger guard here. It does not work as a hold open, so to hold it open you would need to insert an empty magazine. It locks to the rear, and then when you insert a loaded magazine you can either rack the bolt, or you can press that bolt catch upwards towards the receiver and it releases the bolt forward. If we try and dry fire this, put it on a single shot might help. So holding the bolt catch forward there so you can see, and then if we cycle it on auto, that's gas that's been left in there for a few years now. So as you can see, it holds gas very well. The gun itself is actually a really comfy rifle to use, although a little bit blocky, as with all the G36 series. So while we're here, let's have a quick look at the K. This one is one I really haven't used much at all. I'm using a real K handguard on there. The K has a slightly longer buttstock, hopefully you can see that, yeah. So the C has a shorter buttstock than the K and the full length G36 for that slightly longer length of pull. Obviously it has a longer barrel and a longer handguard. Easy way to tell the length of a G36 is if it has 2 holes it's a C, if it has 4 holes it's a K, if it has 6 holes it's the full length. On the end of the K is a 4-prong flash hider, similar to what you'd find on the HK53 or some HK53s. On this particular one I'm using an Ares dual optic red dot and telescopic sight, which is, the sight's pretty poor to be honest with you, but so is the real one. The reason I sold the real one I had on there is because I was offered good money for it and I just don't use this rifle enough. I do have another real one upstairs somewhere, but I need to dig it out, and I think I stripped off the red dot to clean it, so I need to put that back together. You can fold the stocks on these rifles and they lock into place on this chamber deflector, on this cartridge deflector on the chamber, and then you just pull it off and lock it out. Stock locks nice and solid. They have this nice rubber butt pad, so prevents it from slipping slightly, and you have the sling loop on the rear of the receiver, and on the K you have this sling loop on the front. The C doesn't have that, although you can fit them, but you know, it's my C doesn't. The operation is exactly the same for both of them. The K does give you a little bit more muzzle velocity due to the longer barrel, obviously. The K, I can show you here, doesn't have the trade plate that I have in the C, so you just got blank space because I took the sticker out because it looks POV. But yeah, so that's the WE G36 series. Let's see if this has got any gas in it actually. That's quite difficult to release. Again, it cycles quite nicely. Oh, can you see that? And if you put it in auto, you can hear that tuning fault ring from the 4-prong flash hider. That's typical of pronged flash hiders, open end flash hiders. But yeah, so that's the WE G36 series. Just wanted to give you a look at what was one of the best, most reliable and winter effective gas blowback rifles that's ever been made, and it's from a company people slag off all the time. We do make some gems. We'll go into some more of those in the future. This one for sure is a one I recommended over and over again for people either getting into gas blowback or someone that just wanted a gas blowback they didn't have to care about, they didn't have to look after. These haven't been looked after at all, especially this C, which has been used by all kinds of people. And as you can see, it's still performing great 14 years later. So there we go. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this shorter video. Back with you in the next few days with the M249 update. Thanks again. Please share the video around, tell people about it. It's really nice when people do give feedback and views and stuff. And it just makes it a little bit validating to actually do these videos. Thanks again. Take care.